What's going on, guys? My name is Yags, and to no one's surprise, Modern Warfare 2 has already made Activision $1 billion. What we're witnessing right now is the most successful launch in the history of Call of Duty. And with Warzone 2 coming in just a few days, it's looking like COD is back on top of the mountain once again. There's a lot to like about MW2, and I was saying after the beta that this game could be one of the best Call of Duty titles we've ever seen. But while MW2 definitely has me excited for the future of the franchise, I think there's a few things the team should consider building upon or changing entirely to make this experience the best it can be. Like, for example, they have to patch that bug where your teammates are allergic to running UAVs. Did you guys get that one yet? I get that bug like every other game. It's pretty weird. And you know what? Fuck it. Let's just start with that. So in that beta review I did a few weeks back, I mentioned that I was on the fence about the major change to the minimap. And if you're not aware, in MW2 you don't show up on the minimap when firing your gun. Unless your team has a UAV or an Overwatch helo in the air, you're not going to see those red dots popping up. This is one of three primary ways that Infinity Ward has slowed down the gameplay this time around, with the other two being the nerfs to movement and the jacked up footstep audio. Now this slower gameplay has had some positive effects, and I think the dev team accomplished their goal of not wanting to punish you for firing your weapon. It's nice to get a kill and not have to worry about the entire enemy team immediately seeing you on the minimap and hunting you down. I've enjoyed not having to run a suppressor all the time to stay hidden. But I think that among the positives, there are also some noticeable drawbacks. UAVs have become not just the most useful kill streak in the game, but basically a necessity. You don't even have a choice anymore. And the problem isn't necessarily that it's annoying to have to run UAVs, because, let's face it, most of us were going to do that anyway. The real issue is that a lot of your teammates won't run the UAV, or won't be good enough to consistently get 4 kills in a row. And when you're facing a competent team that has eyes in the sky for 10 minutes straight while you're going into every gunfight blind, you're probably going to get your ass kicked by kids corner camping with shotguns and ADSing every line of sight. Which leads us into the other issue with this minimap change, the ridiculous camping that we all saw coming when we played the beta. And look, you can't even blame people. That's what you're supposed to do in this game. You are fully incentivized to pre-aim lines of sight and wait until you hear footsteps. If you want to get a lot of kills in MW2, you gotta slow the fuck down and stop playing like a crackhead Warzone streamer. But the straight up corner camping and just hiding in a random little armpit of the map until someone runs by is at an all-time high. And the fact that that person's gunfire isn't showing up on the minimap isn't helping. At the end of the day, I really don't mind that Infinity Ward is taking steps to slow down the gameplay. In the past, I've talked about how I thought Modern Warfare 2019's gameplay was a little unhinged at times, with the slide canceling and how overly arcadey it could sometimes feel. I don't mind that they're trying to make Call of Duty a little more tactical, but I think that the nerfs to movement and the footstep audio do enough on their own to slow everything down. The removal of slide canceling and bunny hopping, the jump shot and drop shot nerfs, and the fact that the footsteps shatter your fucking eardrums make it so that you're punished for moving around too recklessly. I don't know if a less effective minimap is necessary on top of all that other stuff. I think it results in gameplay that's just a little too slow and camp heavy. So, do I think they're gonna change this? No, probably not. Especially with the crazy success of this game so far, they have no reason to, at least for now. But I think an interesting solution might be to just add a classic playlist option with the traditional minimap enabled. Give people the option of experiencing the game both ways, and see if it's popular enough to keep around. A lot of people are really enjoying this game, but just like with every COD, there's a lot of players that really aren't into the changes. And I get it. Throw them a bone. More options for the player is never a bad thing. Attachment balancing is something that a lot of people have been talking about already. Specifically, the fact that a lot of the guns feel more effective without any attachments at all. The problem with attachments in MW2 is that Infinity Ward focus on giving most of them significant drawbacks to accompany the improvements they offer. Nearly every attachment in the game hurts either your ADS speed, recoil control, or sprint to fire time. 3 incredibly important stats that are usually some of the main indicators of how good your weapon will perform. I think Infinity Ward's goal here was to make adding attachments to your gun really feel like optimizing a build for specific playstyles and situations. You know, for example, maxing out the damage range and recoil control on an AR to make it super effective at long range, but taking its ADS and sprint out times to make it basically useless at close range. And yeah, once again, Infinity Ward achieved what they wanted to do here. There's definitely some give and take when it comes to the gunsmith in this game. But I think the problem with this system is that adding any attachments to your gun feels like you're sacrificing its versatility. Like you might be helping yourself a little bit in some areas, but you're definitely putting yourself at a disadvantage in other ways. And in theory, that makes sense from a game design perspective. You don't want people to get their guns to max level and have a bunch of completely overpowered shit that they can put on them. But as it stands now, it's not that fun to unlock different attachments because you know that you won't be using most of them. For years now, the beauty of COD's progression has lied in the way you constantly unlock things. And in previous titles, it felt like you were really beefing up your gun as you leveled it up. Now, it feels rare to unlock an attachment that will just increase the versatility of your gun and make it straight up better in nearly every gunfight. We don't need every attachment to turn our gun into a pack-a-punch ray gun. Just cool it with the overly harsh penalties. I don't want to be funneled into using the few attachments that don't have any drawbacks on every single gun. Let us customize without having to precisely optimize every weapon for an exact specific playstyle. Don't overcomplicate it. If you've been keeping up with the discourse around MW2, you've probably seen and heard everyone ripping the UI team a new asshole. To the point that I feel sorry for those guys. It's okay. Let's go get a drink or something and talk about where things went wrong. I can tell you all about my college years and that time I threw up in a Taco Bell bathroom, and you can tell me all about how Papa Activision wants Call of Duty to look like Hulu for some reason. But seriously, I did throw up in a Taco Bell bathroom and a McDonald's like 3 months later. I am so sorry to the employees of the Tallahassee fast food industry in 2018. And I am also so sorry to you, viewer, for having to deal with this fucking vomit-inducing menu every time you want to look at your camo unlocks. The way that all the content is presented to you in this game makes it seem like there's so much less content than there actually is. Like, just compare MW2 to even something like Halo Infinite, which also has kind of a shitty UI for what it's worth. You load up Halo and you got tabs for each different mode, you got options clearly laid out under the campaign and Forge tabs, you got all your multiplayer playlists shiny and ready to go, explaining exactly what they are before you hop in. Then you have MW2, which kind of just pukes everything onto the screen and is like, here's everything, do whatever you want, I guess. There's actually a lot of fun content in the game, but the way it's presented is so unappealing and overly simplistic. It doesn't make it feel like these are all cool, unique slices of the game that have something different to offer, which is something that most Call of Duty games have done a good job of to this point. Like, look at Black Ops 2, for example. You had your multiplayer menu with that badass guitar, inspiring the warrior inside of you to make 10-year-olds cry over the mic. Then you had the campaign menu, the more epic and cinematic feel that had you feeling like a real soldier. Then you had the zombies menu, that menacing melody and the bone-chilling cackle of an undead menace. Then you have MW2. So I know I'm being a little nitpicky, and the fact that the UI is ugly is admittedly pretty inconsequential to the overall state of the game. But where the UI is a bigger problem is in its menus that are functionally broken from a design perspective. The best example of this being the camo menu. The camo grind itself is so awesome in this game, hands down the best we've ever had in a COD game in my opinion. But it's given to us through this absolutely garbage menu where we have to side scroll and hunt down one specific camo of the 180 that there are. It definitely needs some work. Activision has already stated that they're going to be making some adjustments to the UI moving forward, and I'm expecting it'll change pretty drastically over the next 2 years. There are so many aspects of COD that people criticize and have opinions about, so you know you're really fucked up when the thing on everyone's minds is how ugly the menus are. I thought the whole receiver unlocking system was just too convoluted back in the beta, but I've come around to it now. I've enjoyed leveling up weapons to unlock other weapons, and I really like how the attachments you unlock are used across a bunch of different guns. The gunsmith really feels like this big interconnected customization experience now, whereas in previous games, every gun kind of felt isolated within itself. You load up MW 2019 and grind away for hours on the AS Val, and you'd only unlock things for the AS Val. I love unlocking a barrel for an AR and then putting it on an LMG, and MW2 makes it feel like you're amassing this huge arsenal, like no COD game before it. But I do think that unlocking certain weapons is a little bit grindy, especially the non-SMGs and ARs. Using LMGs and battle rifles can be really challenging in this game, and it can be a struggle getting some of these off-meta guns leveled up. It's not a huge deal, it gives us something to play for, and I like the general idea of unlocking the branches of a weapon tree. I just think they may want to decrease the weapon level you have to reach to keep unlocking more of that tree. Like only having to get the 5.56 Icarus to level 8 instead of level 15 to unlock the M16. You obviously don't want everyone unlocking everything too fast, but I feel like I've been playing the shit out of this game since launch, and I'm not even close to having everything unlocked, let alone max leveled. Maybe they want progression to move slower because this game is lasting 2 years, but we're also going to have new guns dropping every 3 months as the battle passes start to roll in. It'll be a lot, and I think there's a balance to be struck between the people who want to grind this game all day every day, and the casual players that want to unlock everything at a reasonable pace. I think as it stands right now, that first group is being catered to a little more, which is fine. I'm glad they're taking care of the hardcore players. All we need is some little tweaks here and there. This last one doesn't apply to PlayStation users, but it might affect you if you play on Xbox or PC, and that's the ability to turn off crossplay. And funnily enough, Xbox and PC players have completely different reasons for wanting the option to turn off crossplay. For PC players, that's controller aim assist. The aim assist discussion has been all over Twitter yet again, and PC players are as frustrated as ever with how generous the aim assist can be for controller players. With aim assist in its current state and the nerfs to movement, controller players may actually have a slight advantage in a lot of gunfighting scenarios in MW2. On the flip side, cheating is way more prevalent on PC, a problem that will most likely be even worse in the free-to-play Warzone 2. Currently in MW2, neither Xbox or PC players have the ability to turn off crossplay. You're forced to match with all players across all platforms whether you like it or not. PlayStation users do have the option to toggle the feature on or off, which is likely to do with Sony's requirement of any game implementing crossplay to have an option to turn it off. But yeah, this is annoying for a ton of players, and we know it can be easily implemented because the PlayStation version of the game already has the option. I did have a few other things I wanted to touch on, like the combat record and adding more smaller maps to the game, but it looks like those changes are going to be coming with the launch of Warzone 2 and further built upon in upcoming seasons. The Call of Duty teams have always done a great job at the live service management aspects of these games, and in a world where other shooters like Halo and Battlefield are taking months to years to get their shit together and add in missing features, it's good to see that COD is on the ball with these consistent updates. The groundwork laid out in MW2 is among the best we've seen in any Call of Duty game in a long time. Now it's just going to come down to continuing to improve on what they've built here. If you enjoyed the video or you learned something new today, hit that like button and tell me your thoughts on MW2 in the comments below. If you're interested in more content from me, don't forget to subscribe on your way out. I'll be talking plenty of COD over the next few months, and you know, I consider myself the champion of the 1.0 KD players. All you totally average skill level Call of Duty players out there, I'm doing this for us, okay? It's time that we get some fucking representation. Everybody talks about the noobs, everybody talks about the pros. No, this is our year. Thanks for watching. This is Yags, signing off.